What's going on, everybody? How y'all doing? It's Kaiser. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, how y'all doing? So, we're going to be talking about today a little bit of a movie fight going on. So, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse swinging into theaters. This movie eyeballing an $80 million U.S. opening, whereas Little Mermaid is going into its second weekend. So, both sides have pretty much a lot to lose, everything to gain on this weekend. So, what are the box office predictions? What are we looking at here? So, let's talk about Spider-Man. So, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, there's not been a whole lot of news to really cover on this one. It appears to be a perfectly serviceable movie. It's got its fan base, and it doesn't really appear at the outset to be trying to piss anyone off. I heard there was some controversy early on. Don't know if that's been changed or not, but overall, not been a lot said about this film coming out. And this movie's tracking for an $80 million U.S. opening. Now, I know a lot of you are probably thinking, well, the Little Mermaid had a $168 million total opening. So for it's like $117 million domestic opening. So I mean, 80 million seems pretty low. Well, actually, not for this movie. It's not. So let me actually go ahead and yank this up here. So kind of talking about what does this movie need to make. This is from Screen Rant. So apparently the budget before marketing costs on this movie was about $100 million. So this is a $100 million budget, production budget, against a, let's say the Little Mermaid. Little Mermaid has a production budget upwards of $250 million, maybe even more. And now they're saying that that movie did not make exactly what it needed to. That movie needs almost $500 million just to break even. Needs $750 to $800 million just to make any kind of profit. I highly doubt they're going to make $1 billion on that one. But this one, budget $100 million before marketing. With marketing, probably $180 to $200 million, I would say. So the fact that this one's swinging into the box office, the domestic box office opening projected at $80 million, I wholeheartedly expect this movie to probably do upwards of $120 to $150 million opening weekend gross box office. That's with all the overseas box office as well. Yep, I think that is very much a possibility. So this movie could make up most of the ground it needs to make up in just one weekend. And then it's going to have a pretty easy coast to the finish line of profitability. Honestly, this movie, I'm pretty sure, is going to be successful. I have seen nothing to indicate to me this movie is not going to be a success at the box office, which is going to really hurt because this is a, Spider-Man. Yeah, I know it's a Marvel property, but this is the arm of the Marvel Cinematic Universe that is owned and being done by Sony. So Disney's not really going to get any of this. This is all being done by Sony. Ouch. That's going to sting. But what's really going to sting is what are we going to see in terms of numbers for the movie that this is going to be competing against, which is The Little Mermaid going into its second week. And of course, we've already seen a lot of controversy surrounding Little Mermaid. Pardon me, but I'm going to beat that dead horse for a little bit here. So this article saying that the global opening was about 164 million. I think final count was about 168.5, 168.8, I believe, million. And there was already some really interesting controversy surrounding that movie, with reviews getting a little bit shifty from both IMDb and from Rotten Tomatoes. We've covered that. We've talked about it. You go over to other sites overseas that do ratings, or you go to even Metacritic, and it looks very different, which is kind of fascinating. So this movie's already going into its second weekend. The first weekend did not make the projections that they were hoping that it would. There's a lot of weirdness going around this one. There were fights breaking out in theaters during this movie. If you go on YouTube and Twitter, you can find multiple times where apparently fights were breaking out at Little Mermaid screenings. I don't get it, folks. I really don't. But yeah, this movie is really going to be stretching going into its second weekend. Honestly, box office projections, if I had to ballpark it right now. So with all the controversy, with all the talk, with all the issues that this movie has to overcome, I mean, a 50% drop off for any movie is, say, kind of a given, is really considered good. 50% drop off from opening weekend to second weekend is considered really good. 60% not so good, but not terrible. And then the higher you go, between 60 and 70, that's of course where things get worse. If this movie has a 70% audience drop off, it's catastrophic for this movie. This movie is done if it has a 70% audience drop off. Look, I'm just calling them like I sees them. I'm not really trying to pull punches. I'm not trying to gaslight or tell y'all anything y'all don't already know. The fact is, if you want to go see this movie, fine. Do what you want to do. Go see it. If you don't want to see this movie, that's also fine. Do whatever you want to do. But let me be completely upfront and honest with you here. The numbers and the actual data, the ratings that are coming out that we're seeing, the controversy is more interesting than the movie itself, if I had to just put it down to anything. It appears to me that the controversy is far more interesting than the film itself. I have heard a lot of complaints about this movie. Too long, over-bloated, confused messaging, bad CGI. The list goes on. But then it gets even more interesting because they are already in full spin mode. This is interesting. This DisneyDining.com decided to write this article. I would not be surprised if this one gets deleted sometime soon, which is why we're covering it now. They're calling any kind of negative review for this movie ratings terrorism. Overseas response to The Little Mermaid is ratings terrorism. Yeah. Fans and haters turned out at the local movie theaters this weekend to be some of the first to see Disney's live-action remake of the 1989 classic, The Little Mermaid. Yeah, that's the opening line. Yeah, fans and haters. Oh, boy, you already know where this is going. Yep. So, yeah, referred to all over Twitter as a global phenomenon. I don't think so. And then it gets better. So there's like overseas markets boycott a Black Mermaid. Okay, yeah, let's just boil it down to, ism. Yeah, movie rating site responds to ratings terrorism. Oh yeah, it's wild and crazy and hilarious. I can't even. I mean, this is kind of just amazing that this even actually got printed and put out there. It's so wackadoo. So, yeah, folks, I'm going to be honest here. Again, I just try to shoot straight with you, try to tell you what I know, what I don't know, and kind of just give you my basic view on things. Frankly, so Spider-Man, this movie is going to, again, because it's not appearing to really try to incite really any controversy or anything, looks like it's actually going to be successful. It's going in to its opening weekend, and it's going to probably make back some pretty good money. Little Mermaid, on the other hand, that movie is going into its second weekend. It had a rough first weekend. And to be completely honest, I think the second weekend is going to really be the deciding factor in this movie if it's going to sink or swim. It's barely treading water at this point, but again, we shall see how things go. Until the next time I see you guys, definitely go down there. Be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe. I will see you all later. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that bell notification so you know when I got new videos. And I will see you all later on the next video. Have a great one, guys. Bye-bye.